Hello and welcome to Greetingstar. I'm so glad you could join me today. Here's a look at the card that we'll be making today. These supplies that I'm using are some dies that come from Spellbinders, and they're a new release, and they're called the Color Block Mini Crosses. And I'm just using some teal colored cardstock and also some like frosted white vellum. And these are just supplies that I had in my own craft room. They're not from Spellbinders, the paper, but this stamp set is, and I'm going to use this beautiful little stamp that says Best Dad Forever. These are the sentiments for you, and those were released about a month or two ago. Now here's a look at those dies. You get two, and the one on the right cuts out the background, and then the other one cuts out a bunch of little pieces like that, and you can layer them up and create beautiful designs. Any kind of geometric design is always so versatile. There are so many different things you can do with it. So what I'm going to do with my teal cardstock, this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to score it at 3.5 and at 7. And when you're making this card, make sure that your 8.5 by 11 is really 11 inches and not like 11 and 1/8. Sometimes when you get them, if you buy them in bulk, you'll get some pieces that are a little bit longer than 11 inches. So I always like to make sure that that's the correct size. Okay, and then I just trimmed 1/8 of an inch off of the left side, and I trimmed, you should trim at least 1/4 of an inch, but I think you need 1/2 inch. So that's why I had to go back and trim this off, because you need 1/2 inch, because this is going to be a slimline card, so it's going to measure 3.5 by 8.5 inches. And so for this frosted vellum, I want to fit it inside, because that first flap is going to create like a pocket, and so I'm just trimming this down to be less than 3.5 and less than 8.5. So I want to make sure that, you know, it fits inside right here. Now this center panel that I showed you is really going to be the front of your card. So now I'm using my extra large Spellbinders die. This is the 8.5 inch platform, not the Platinum 6, because I want to be able to fit this whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in here. It's actually 10 3/8, not 11, because I trimmed it down on both edges. So I'm just laying this die from the Color Block Mini Crosses, and I'm laying it down, and you see those extra pieces I have there. And so this kind of serves as two purposes for me. I'm using it here to cut out an opening, which you could also use the second die in the set to do that if you wanted. But I wanted those little extra pieces because I'm going to use them to make a design on the front of my card. So right now I'm just trying to lay this out as evenly and as straight as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and play around with these little pieces here and how I want them on my card. There's, again, so many different variations you can do. You can just have fun playing for a long time. And I chose to go with you know, the same color, but you can use, you know, lots of different colors if you wanted, or you could do something that's different shades of the same color, or you can go completely different and do very different colors. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. The sky is the limit. All right, so I'm going to put my die cutting machine away, and I'm going to go ahead and put my this is my vellum here on the inside. You can see I already adhered some vellum to it. And then I'm just going to close that panel up, and then that will be the front of my card. And so then I'm going to lay these inside here, and I really think this is a pretty design, and I thought it was very perfect for like a masculine themed card. So I decided to turn this into a Father's Day card, since Father's Day will be coming up here in a month and a half or something like that. It's in, is it in June, guys? Mother's Day is in May, so I think Father's Day is in June. It's funny, we always seem to remember Mom a little bit more than Dad. So anyway, here I go. I'm going to go ahead and use the second die that comes in this die set and cut out the solid piece. It's meant to be the background for all those little pieces, but I'm using it differently. And why not? Let's have some fun. So now what I'm going to do here is just decide how, play around a little bit and decide how I want to lay these out. And so I'm kind of deciding whether I want to kind of offset them or make them equal and even. And I do decide to go ahead and line them up and make them even, and then decorate a little bit more with some of the smaller pieces on the front of the card. So you'll see that in just a moment. But I'm just going to use some Tombow Mono to adhere all these pieces. And I'm going to use my tweezers to hold them while I do so. And you'll see that in just a moment. But I think I do like this layout. It looks really nice and neat and unique. Now you could just leave it like that, but I decided to go ahead and play around with some of those other little pieces here to fill in the space. And I like what I did. I think it turned out really nice and gives it quite a unique look, I think. But I did decide to use some of those white pieces in the center, the very small white pieces, which you'll see in a moment. Now I'm just going to ink up this stamp with some VersaFine Black Onyx ink in order to stamp those on those little backgrounds there. I don't know what you would call them. But anyway, I'm using this foam pad. This is a piercing mat from We Are Memory Keepers. And I'm just going to use that to stamp on. And I'm just holding for just a couple seconds each one of those each time I stamped. And the video is sped up just a tiny bit, so it doesn't look like I held it down for very long, but I did hold it for just a second or two to let that ink soak in. Okay, so now I'm just going to use some Tombow Mono to adhere all these pieces. And I played around a little bit with the design, going back and forth and trying to decide exactly how I wanted it, which you'll see in a moment. I think that's just part of my creative process and the way I create. So, you know, I think that it's fun to create, and it's fun to give yourself a little bit of room to breathe and not feel like you have to have everything kind of planned out before you start creating. You learn things as you go too, so that's kind of a neat part of the creative process. So you'll just hopefully you will feel free to do that too. And maybe my videos will encourage you to do so. I hope so. That's why I like making these videos. I really enjoy watching videos too and learning from other people. So I hope that I can contribute something to the pool of information. So you can see here how I'm just laying all of these out. I did decide to go ahead and keep them even with the openings. And then I'm just adding all these little pieces inside. Now I do apologize, guys. I've been very sporadic in releasing videos lately. There's been so much going on in my world lately, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully I can get on more of an even keel here pretty soon and be able to start releasing more frequently and more, you know, consistently for you. So I do apologize for that. I hope you will continue to look out for my videos and watch them. I really am appreciative of you, all of my viewers. So thank you for watching, and I hope you're having fun, and I hope you're getting inspiration and being encouraged to create yourself. Now these are just little, this is just copy paper. Whenever I get a new die set, I always play around with it with white copy paper before I cut into colored cardstock, because I kind of like to see what it's going to look like, and I play around with layout and so on and so forth until I decide what I want to do, so that way I don't waste my colored cardstock. Okay, so my card is almost finished. I just want to put some little a couple more touches on here, so I'm cutting these out at about 2.5 inches, and I'm going to use some Tombow Mono to adhere those to the bottom of my card. I think that really adds something to this geometric design. You know, the straight lines at the bottom sort of just kind of finish it off and makes it look really nice, I think. Now, of course, you will be able to see that glue underneath that vellum because it's transparent, but I'm using my finger to spread it so it's not quite as noticeable. If you don't like that, you could do something else. Like you could use the white copy paper. That would look nice too. Or you could use some of the metallic borders that come, the peel off stickers. So here's a look at the finished card, guys. I hope you had fun, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of all of my future videos. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.